silence, like someone standing there. Lights above the moorland, shadows in the sky. Truth is getting closer every time we ask why. They say don't look deeper, don't ask what's real. But curiosity is pulling at the edge of the veil. We're lifting the veil. Can you feel it tonight? UFOs and secrets hiding out of sight. Paranormal echoes calling your name. If the world's a mystery, we're here to explain. We're lifting the veil. Step out of the dark, tune in, lock on, ignite the spark.
Good evening, and you're listening to Lift in the Veil. Tonight, I am delighted to say we are joined by Chris Di Cesare. Now, Chris is a social studies and special educations teacher, author, public speaker, and his experiences as a college student in the mid-80s is subject to several award-winning documentaries, including Please Talk With Me, Sci-Fi's School Spirits, Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, The Channel Travel's My Horror Story, and most recently the Netflix mini documentary series True Hauntings, which focused on the events surrounding Erie Hall. Now, the haunting you experienced is often referred to as a C2D1, which is a class 2 haunting, isn't it? It's an intelligent manifestation.
Yeah.
Considered one of the most documented paranormal cases in US history, involving full-bodied apparitions, disembodied voices, physical attacks, clergy involvement, photographs, and real-time audio recordings. Now, at the center of all these events is Chris himself, who was a teenage student at the time and unfortunately earned the moniker the Ghost Boy whilst he was actually experiencing these horrific events during college. Now, you're currently promoting your book, The Ghost Boy of Erie Hall, which is a deeply personal look inside this case and its effects on you. Thank you for joining me and welcome to the show, Chris. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on, and I'm glad to be talking to you this evening.
Likewise.
Now, before we get into Erie Hall itself, I'd like to introduce you a bit, find out a little bit about you at the time, what your aspirations were, who you were as a person, and what your expectations were going into college at such a young age, because you were around about 19 at the time, weren't you?
Yeah, I went to college because I was supposed to go to college. That's what you did if you had good grades in school, and I had good grades. I'm not sure at that time what I thought I would do with my college degree, but I thought, let's go out and explore the world and see. And I found college to be fascinating. New music, new literature, new art, new friends, new environment. It was really an amazing moment for me to have the world be my oyster. Everything was possible, it seemed. I was young, optimistic, healthy, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience for me. I had the benefit of having two strong parents in that they raised my siblings and I with the belief that you try to be a good person and you try to make something of yourself. Those were our two goals that we had. I didn't know what that would be, but I knew I loved to run. I loved to run. And at that point in time, I was a nationally ranked distance runner for the U.S., and I was very proud of that. And so at that point, my best guess was I might try to make some type of Olympic Games or World Championship at some point in time, and maybe on the Wheaties box and, that kind of thing. But it was unclear as to how that would happen yet. But I loved college, and the Tennessee University was beautiful with the brick buildings and the ivy lining the brick walls and the sunsets and the small town shops. I loved every second of it.
It was an adventure, isn't it? Going off to college, leaving the nest, finding your identity, new friends, new experiences. It's our first kind of like step out into the real world, isn't it? From when we leave our parents' home.
Yeah.
So what was it like first in Erie Hall, meeting new people and getting to grips with the syllabus and also running as well? Because I mean, you had a bit of a record, didn't you? In school with the running, it was like 17 minutes and 5 seconds or something, and it was like well above the actual average rate at the time.
Yeah, my father worried about one thing. I was a bit quiet sometimes, not happy, just quiet. I'd like to listen more than talk, and I didn't always do things. I would do my homework and then I read a book. Get the encyclopedias out, just letter A, letter B. So I love to learn like a sponge.
Yeah,
get outside and actually move around a little bit, and so I didn't really want to do that. And I eventually agreed to jog with him every day, a few miles, and then maybe 3 miles and 4 miles. I didn't really enjoy it. And then one day, I made a mistake. I said to him, "My left leg hurts, my left leg," and I held the wrong one, and I went, "Uh-oh," and I lied to him. "You lying to me?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he got upset with me. So he got a branch off a tree, started chasing me. Oh, terrible. And then, I'm the whole time, "I'm calling the police. You're a bad dad. I'm telling mom." And he said, run. And we got done. I was 11 years old. And we ran 3 miles in 17 minutes, 51 seconds, which is a high school time. I'm in fifth grade. And that's when he realized and I realized. He said, "I hate to do that to you, but you need to actually pursue things and challenge yourself. I'm not trying to mean to you. It's just, you got to challenge yourself." And then I realized, wow, I could run. And I ended up running for the varsity team when I was in 8th grade, young. So I had this talent that my dad kind of forced out of me. And so that was my favorite thing to do, was to run. And people liked that. You'd score points for your school, and you'd get in the newspaper that way. I kept out of trouble, not going to giant parties all the time. So it was a nice way for me to apply myself. But, one of the things about running is when you compete, you watch your opponent. You have your own goals, but you're competing against other people. You watch how their leg stride is, if they're sweating a lot, listen for their breathing, and you observe to learn and to say, "Now's the time to make my move," or "Now's the time to hold back and stand a shoulder." And that skill set played out very well going to college, because I watched how people live their lives, how they conducted themselves, how they socialized, what they wore. And it's just amazing. And it was very different than small town. Going to college, people had blue hair and green hair and no hair, and they did the craziest things in the craziest places. And it was very entertaining. I thought, that's amazing that, in some places you can be what you want to be, and you can do what you want to do within reason. I thought, that's really cool. I saw MTV for the first time, "I want my MTV."
I love that song.
Video. I loved it. And when you go to college, most people are like you are, young, optimistic, and looking for some bright future. There's very little pessimism back then, and so everyone was looking for some goals, and it was fun to talk about them and go to dinner with people and go on hikes with people. I'm telling you, Abbie, I loved being in college until the strange things happened.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you'd got quite a nice group of friends quite early on, didn't you? With Paul, your roommate, who amazing dorm room, by the way, with the bunk beds.
Yeah.
Brilliant idea. So you all party down, sleep up top and party at the bottom. I'm loving that.
Or a sleep for party on top and whatever. But, it was fun. It was a fun thing. I was pretty much a rule follower for the most part. And my first thought was, that is so cool. The second thought was, is this allowed? Are we in trouble for this? And they go to that in the Drew Hunting show. It's like, this isn't allowed. That's true. And then, but it was great. And we had holiday lights below the loft and a fish net with starfish and all little like seashells and things.
Oh wow!
It was wonderful. And like you mentioned, you could have things happening downstairs, things happening upstairs. There was privacy. It was probably the coolest room, thanks to Paul and his dad being the loft, they called it. That was really cool. The only tough part was that because the loft was 5 feet raised in the air on the wooden stilts, with then the mattress and the floorboard, we had very little space above, so you had to be careful sleeping in bed, or you try and knock yourself out. But boy, that was a fun time.
Concussion after a hangover, never good.
The good thing about that for us was that we're both athletes, Paul and I. And so we might have had drinks maybe once or twice that whole year because we thought, you know what? Let's get our medals or our goals or our degree, and then for the next 40 years after that, 50 years, we can pull them back, and it's fine. But we were both at that point in time very focused on trying to, honor our parents because he and I both came from middle class, blue collar families where college wasn't always the way, and I share this all the time because it's factual and illustrative. Is that my grandparents mixed paint in factories and carried boxes in warehouses and things like that. So to go to school back then, to go to college was quite an honor. And go back home and talk about with our grandparents, great uncles, and say, "Well, it's amazing. I get to 6th grade and had to work in the factory," And so there was a sense of like duty, but a proud duty to say, what, my family's reputation on the line. I want to do this. So, but I saw a lot of people do a lot of things, and
I can imagine. Now, at what point did you start to notice that strange things were starting to happen, and what did you make of it at the time?
Yeah, I have to start by saying I wasn't looking for anything to happen like that. It was the farthest thing from my mind. So some people say, "Well, when did you first notice?" And it's possible things that might have happened. I wasn't aware of them, not knowing what to look for. But once, in like most cases, you know what's happening, you have an idea, then you focus your mind on it. The first thing I recall occurring was at the toga party, which was on January 30th, actually. I saw this person standing outside in the darkness, looking in at the toga party, and that was unusual. He looked very angry, very disheveled, and wearing clothes I could not recognize. And I remember thinking, maybe this person escaped from an asylum. It was frightening to watch him, and that's the first thing I remember noticing. But I didn't think anything. I thought perhaps that was just a person who needs some assistance. Yeah, and I remember telling Jeff about that, and some other friends. I thought that's okay. And then I'm going to say 12 days later was when I began hearing a voice that would whisper my name, Chris, and it would repeat itself, Chris. I'm like, what is that noise? And my first thought was perhaps it was someone playing a joke, a prank. That's what you do in college sometimes, right? And remember, I was very fast though, so as soon as I heard the noise, I jumped out of my chair, ran to the hallway. No one, I'm fast. I didn't understand how they could throw their voice like ventriloquism. I didn't understand that. So what I did was I got headphones. Yeah. Headphones on. That was Paul stereo. And what I actually played was a Sammy Hagar album called Voice of America. And I played the first song, I think, was I Can't Drive 55. Right? And I'm listening to that because my thought was, if I can't hear them, they can't bother me. When you're in a marathon, you have to focus and you have your splits on your arm. That's what you do. So same theory here. I'm going to block out the environment so I can focus on my studies. So I was working on a paper that'd be 20 pages long. And there was no Google back then. You had to go to the library, do the card catalog. You had to find the card, then find the number, then look on the shelves, and then hope the book was there. It wasn't there, you're out of luck. And then you had to look out. You had to read the book, put your own words, get a typewriter, and QWER. And you had no mistakes. A mistake, you had to throw it on the page. So I really had to focus. The course was called Ethnocultural Nonverbal Communications. That was the name of the course, Dr. Howell. Wow. And I really wanted to do well on this, The topic was somatotypes and culture, like things like ectomorph, endomorph, types of body types, and how people see those things. So that's what I was working on. And with the headphones on, I heard once again, I couldn't believe it, in the headphones, Chris. I threw them on the ground. I thought, now how is that possible? That's when I heard the voice in the headphones, which was impossible, that I realized something was off. Something wasn't quite right. The following evening, when I saw the thing for the first time, that's when I knew that I really had to take a step back and say, okay, what's happening in my life? Was there a gas leak in the room? Were there drugs being put into my food? Was it hypnosis? Was it mass hysteria? Was it some kind of prank? Was it SAD, where you're in a dark room when your mind plays tricks on you? And because I didn't. The
last thing you think is paranormal, isn't it? Really, it's the last thing you think of.
And ironically or interestingly, as time went by, and my friends and I began to cross things off the list. It's not that, and we came up with one thing left on the list: the paranormal.
And how did that make you feel at the time? Because obviously you were the only person experiencing this at the time. None of your other friends in your friend group were having experiences, so it was very much centered on you. So how did you cope with that, and how was that received by your friend group at the time as this was starting to kick off?
My friends all knew by that point in time that I wasn't a practical joker.
Yeah.
That I was honest to a fault, actually. And when they saw me start to panic and act differently, they knew that something was wrong. And I think because I'd always been kind to them, they thought they should be kind to me and find out what is happening with Chris. My first thought was perhaps I was having some kind of nervous breakdown. I didn't know why, though, because I was passing my classes, running very well. I didn't know what kind of quiet pressure would cause that, but who knows? I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist. And then when Paul, my roommate, saw the ghost for the first time without me describing it to him, I never told him what I saw. I kept that secret, personalized. When he said, there's this thing at the bottom of the loft, and it looks like a person with the head tilted, and that's really played out well. The end of episode 1 of True Haunting, they did a very good job with that. Then I knew 2 things. I knew, number one, I wasn't going crazy. I knew that, okay, this is an external variable. And at first I was very relieved, because it's better to deal with a problem with people around you than by yourself.
Yes.
However, that happiness, that thrill of not being crazy, of having it be external, was short-lived, because that then meant there was a dead thing in the room talking to me.
And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with something that's not physical? It's what are you supposed to do with that? I mean, that actually caused Paul to leave the dorm, didn't it? His experience, he couldn't take it after that. And where you've been living with seeing and hearing this entity for a while. Yeah,
they had to compress months and months and months into an hour and about 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So they did decompress some of the things. He did stay a little while, but not for the duration. Maybe about halfway through, he just said, it's too crazy right now. I can't deal with all of this. It's too much. And it was actually Paul's idea. Now, Paul was an atheist. He didn't necessarily believe in God. He thought that religion was very constraining to him, all these rules about doing this to be good and versus bad. He thought it was all silliness, and he wanted to live his life according to his own moral cult compass. But when that thing was in the room, it was he who said, we need a priest. And I think it's probably because back then there weren't paranormal groups. You just saw things on television, and there's, like Exorcist and things like that. I think his understanding was that when there was a ghost in the room, you saw a priest. He's the one that said, let's go to the church and get someone to help us, of all people. I thought that was very fascinating. If he was part of a joke, he wouldn't do that. And if he thought we'd be okay, he wouldn't do that. So clearly he was terrified, much as I was, to go against his own principles to do that. I thought it was very telling and very brave of him.
Very, very brave. I mean, as someone that's not religious and an atheist by nature, the last thing you would do is think to go and seek help from the church. But he was obviously very concerned. Now, I think I don't know if it was round about that time or not that you and your friend Jeff actually went to a visiting lecture by the Warrens. Now, they are controversial, love them or hate them. Personally, I think what happened in your circumstance was absolutely diabolical. But you actually went along with Jeff to this lecture, basically just to try and get some answers and just to find out what was going on. Can you explain what happened during that?
Sure. You give me too much credit. I wasn't even that interested in it. I was supposed to go on a date with these 2 girls to some party, and Jeff brought this poster to the dining hall table and said, look at this.
Yeah.
They're coming to speak here, and they're very famous. They're demonologists, and they do horror and things. Do you want to go? And I said, no. Why would I want to go to that for? And he explains some of the
You want to get away from the hauntings, you want to forget about it.
But he used the magic words. It's free. Well, okay, it's free, nothing. I got nothing to lose. And if to put it in perspective, Game of Thrones is not real.
No,
it's a amazing show. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings are not real, but they're real moments, real experiences. So people go and really enjoy those movies, right? And so my thought was, hey, listen, I'm going to go for free. They'll tell their ghost stories. It'll probably be interesting, and I'll go home. No harm, no foul. Maybe I'll have some cool things to talk about that they believe. Yeah, that was my mindset.
Yeah.
Jeff had read books by them, and Colin Wilson. He was more intrigued by the philosophy behind it. So he encouraged me to go. In fact, I don't know if I can do this properly, but the poster is right there on the wall. It's the poster that Jeff shown me that was on the wall at the college dorm. So that's the actual poster from 1984.
Wow.
85. So it's pretty fascinating. When we got to the theater, I noticed they must have been popular because there were a lot of people waiting to get in, not just college kids, young kids, adults, grandmas. I mean, I realized just by the turnout, they must be very popular. And then we got in there, and I told myself, just don't buy into it. Don't be like part of the herd, They say jump and just have a clear mind. Just be fair with myself. And the first thing I noticed was that Lorraine was very well spoken. She was very, I don't know if she was glamorous, but very professional. She sat with her back straight, her hair up, her posture good. She spoke clearly and eloquently. And I knew one thing, whether she was wrong or right, whether she was cloudy-minded or precisely on, she believed what she was saying. And whenever someone talks to you, if you know they believe it, it helps make a better conversation and not put you on. So I knew she believed it. Now, one of the things she said that I thought was odd was she said that like attracts like. And I turned to Jeff and said, no way. He's what? He's trying to listen to that. I'm like, no. I said, give me two magnets. Like poles repel. That is not true. So I went in, not to be mean, but just some of the things they were saying didn't quite make sense. They had these things called EVPs they played, these sounds. Yeah. Never heard of that before. And they were freaky. I have to tell you that. I don't know. I mean, it could have been a goat on a farm, but when they played the sounds, they did feel off. I just not hear that more. And then they had these slides, these black and white still slides of what they purported to be, famous hauntings or images of ghosts. And then they were interesting. One of them freaked me out. They had a photograph of a woman probably in her 80s, in the back of a sedan. And she's sitting there dressed up very nicely. And they mentioned this photograph was taken at that person's funeral. I thought, well, that's freaky. Again, I couldn't verify the details, but that kind of freaked me out too. And as the program went on, I realized, this is kind of interesting. That's fine. I could, and at the end, Jeff let me know that Ed had said, come on down and meet them. Come say hello. And I thought, well, I can be polite. Jeff really wanted to ask some questions. He had a series of questions he wrote down over the course of the lecture. He needed more time.
Into it then.
he wanted to ask, so he pushed me ahead of him, kind of go first. This way, more time to select his thought. And as I got to the stage, I stepped right up there and I put my hand out, and Lorraine said, I won't shake your hand. And I thought perhaps maybe someone behind me was causing a stir. I looked behind me like, is something happening, or did I do something wrong? And she said to me, this is not in the show, she said, I don't want to know my future. I thought, what? And put his hands on me and escorted me off the stage. Tossed me off the stage. Wow. And I remember telling Jeff he had to have been in the armed services or a police officer, because the way he was able to grab me quickly and push me off like that, that's professional. Yeah. And we found out later on he was in the military, so that matched that. And Jeff never asked this question. He was so startled by what just happened that he never asked this question. And they went on a ghost investigation on the campus in different buildings. I spoke to some people who were there that night who went with them on that investigation, but I was embarrassed. I was annoyed. I was aggravated. I was tossed off a stage in front of 300 people. And so I went back to my room, C2D1, Erie Hall, which was the C building, second floor. Yeah. Room 1. And Jeff went with me. Jeff should have gone with them to see these things. Apparently they found some activity in a different hall, but he wanted to know what happened, and he was curious about why Lorraine would have that reaction, thinking to himself that maybe I have some kind of ability. Maybe the reason things would happen is because they could sense that I might be able to hear or see, and I didn't know that myself. Yeah, that's what he was. At that point in time, he began writing down his notes every day, his notes every hour, and those became what were used for all the TV shows and the books and the journals. But it was done really just to have us be able to look at details and data to say, okay, when is it happening? What's the weather that day? What'd you eat? What time it happened at? What certain days? Looking for patterns And that's how it began. We would have no idea that it would ever go beyond the two of us and be seen by 9 million people 41 years later. No way.
I mean, as an investigator, and if you're dealing with a house case, that's what we tell people to do. We tell people to document everything so we can see a pattern emerging. But I'm actually quite disgusted at the late Lorraine Warren, God rest her, because out of everybody, out there, as I said, there wasn't the paranormal groups or the knowledge that there is now. I mean, she was, and they were. Again, they're very controversial, but they were at the time most qualified to actually help you out at this point.
They were,
and to be dismissed like that is very disconcerting.
They were the paranormal. You had some books written by certain people, like Zachariah Sitchin and things like that, or the gentleman who just passed away, Chariots to Gods. Eric Van Daniken.
Oh, Eric Van Daniken, yeah.
Like that, but there's nothing. I can tell you that for years, I was confused by that reaction. One of the nice things about sharing the experience decades later was you get to meet people and things get better explained. About 30 years later, I ran into, or rather she ran into me, their daughter, Judy.
Yes.
And we were at this event, and she walked up to me. I hadn't met her before. And she said to me, "Oh my gosh, you're Chris, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." "You're the ghost boy?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." She goes, "My mom loves you." I said, "Who's your mom?" She goes, "Lorraine Warren." I'm like, "Yeah, different Chris. Let me tell you what happened with me and your mom and dad." She said, "No, I know what happened. I was in the car." I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, I wouldn't go to the events because they scared me. I would stay because I went from college to college to college day after day."
Yeah.
So even if they had wanted to help me, they probably couldn't anyway, but to the store. So I said, "Yeah, I came back that night, and I was standing in the car doing my word searches and things, and he talked about this young boy with his blonde hair who had an aura that was just like outrageous. It was just so vibrant. It blocked her. And her job, as she saw it, was to make connections, glean things about people, and to help read situations." She said that I blocked her. And she was afraid that I would read her, like interview her in front of those people. She felt like at a loss. So she said, "I can't do this." So I said, "Ed, you have to move him now." She was hoping I'd go with them and talk to me later on, but my feelings were hurt. And so actually, Judy said that she admired me and thought I was pretty cool. It's just, I did have a chance to meet Lorraine about 2 years before she passed. Maybe she was 91 or 90. But at that point in time, she already had severe dementia, onset of dementia, and she mostly talked about her losers. And I didn't want to go a second time and a foggy mind. Here he is again. Like, I don't. So I missed the chance to talk to her. But I did that out of respect and her dignity. I don't think I'd want to see people, if I'm dementia-ridden and adult, and they record that and film that, take pictures. I don't like that. So I hope that my decision was appreciated by folks. And although I wish like to have actually talked about it, it's more important, at least from my point of view, to respect people. So, but yes, they've taken slings and arrows. They're very controversial, good and bad. All I can tell you is that they added a very amazing dimension to my experience that, who knew?
Yeah. I mean, as I say, the paranormal field would not be what it is today without the likes of Ed and Lorraine Warren. They were pioneers. Yeah. So no matter what your thoughts on them as investigators or researchers, there wouldn't be the field today if it wasn't.
They had impact. Them. The two bookends right here, the bookends, those were Ed Warren's library.
Wow.
That's the picture right there between them with the skeleton. So I saved some cool things along the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, after that experience with Ed and Lorraine Warren, now things, it started to escalate, didn't they? Things started to get, the activity started to escalate and the way it felt for you, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the pressure, it just all started to come together. Could you explain a bit about how that felt and what was going on at the time?
It was overwhelming. When you have a crisis, let's say it's financial crisis. Yeah. Then all of a sudden you have a health crisis with the financial crisis. Then you have a relationship crisis. It's when everything is turbulent, you can't put your feet down there. You have no base or bearing. You can't refresh your mind. So this thing of being in that room every night. Yeah. Would call my name. I'd see the shadows across the walls. I would wake up sometimes and his face would be right in my face looking at me, and he'd be breathing my breath out. and my face would be all numb. And I'd scream, and
Ooh.
my feet and things. It was just, I told you I was a rule follower. I was a very kind, considerate person. I had one
Yeah.
flaw. I always ran around naked. That was people thought it was funny. I did that, so I did that. With art classes and for photographers, that's what I did back in the day.
Yeah.
But when the thing was in the room, I would cover up.
Yeah.
It was
Felt
different.
exposed.
The thing didn't look at me like a photographer did or a friend, or it looked at me as though it wanted to control me or possess me or do something like that. And that was a very weird feeling. So I didn't feel safe in my own room.
Yeah.
You compound that with that sleeping as well. So now I'm wearing that. I can't run like I used to run. So now my scholarship and my passing classes was now jeopardized. My college is jeopardized. And then my friends began to change a bit. I went from being popular and social to being like a gargoyle. That's the ghost boy. And I'll call you tomorrow. No, it's okay. We'll call you. You guys going out? Yeah, we'll get back to you. Give me no phone call. And then people would say they want to talk to the priest. The priest said that I had to repent for my sins, whatever they were. I'm being punished. And it got very difficult. So here I am. I'm still a teenager.
Yeah.
And now I'm failing college. I'm not running anymore. I'm not sleeping. This thing is trying to get at me. I'm losing my friends. I'm not making a pity party, but I was not prepared for this at all. So it was very difficult. So when Paul did say, let's get a priest, I was on board with that because maybe it would help. I would do anything we could do to get help, especially if it's an adult. You know, and in the movies, the priest is always like 75 with a shock of white, silver hair and like 8 feet tall. And we went to see Charles Manning. He looked like he was like a, like a barista at a Starbucks. But it was.
Well, he was a college priest, wasn't he? Father Charles. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I thought, oh no, we're for the chop now. Brilliant. He read those notes Paul and I took Jeff's notes because I said, I can't keep talking about this. So by bringing the notes, they come in handy. People can read the notes. I can just sit there and answer questions without having to relive every single thing. And the priest read the notes for 40 minutes. He looked up and he said, I believe you. And I was so relieved.
Yeah.
And he asked, you guys doing drugs? I'm like, what? I was so upset. He says, listen, I want to help you.
Yeah.
I can't help you if you're doing drugs, if you're doing things I don't know about. So the best thing I can do is ask questions to see how I can best help you. Then we were good after that. And he actually came to our dorm room disguised as a repairman to fix my stereo. Because he read about the stereo being in there. So, because you couldn't do religious ceremony in a secular place. It wasn't allowed. So, he dressed up like a repairman. Then he took the shirt off, then the jacket. Then, of course, you saw his collar and things like that. So cool. I misjudged him. He was so cool. And he blessed that room. It was pretty fascinating.
I mean, as I said before, the actual blessing itself, because he actually felt something at the time, but he didn't tell you because he didn't want to worry you. Yeah. But you and Jeff actually tried to make contact with whatever this entity was, and he was taking photos, and that's what led to the Ghost Boy nickname, wasn't it? It was the sharing of this photograph, which. Yeah. At the time, he was excited, but you were just like, no, I don't want this known, which is fair enough, really, if you're going through all of this, feeling vulnerable and isolated at the time.
He was investigating. I was surviving. It was his idea, because when he heard that Paul and I were going to get a priest, that concerned him. He was happy about that. They thought, well, the priest might send it away. Before that happens, let's get some evidence. Yeah, you might want that someday. And so he said, let's go into the room. And we'll get some pictures. And I was like, oh, I don't know what if I should really do that. And get ready for this. This shows your state of affairs. Those pictures taken on Valentine's Day. So all my friends are out with their friends and their girlfriends and their boyfriends, having a nice time, kissing and under balloons and playing music. I'm in the room. Hi, it's me. I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? Looking back, it's a cool thing to be able to be in a place with a full-body apparition, with a thing being there all the time, it's communicating, it's talking. That's like a gold mine for any researcher. But that's not where I was. I just wanted to learn. And so we went in that room, and Jeff, using things he had seen in television shows and read in books, asked me to put my arms outstretched like this to call the ghost. And that's what I did. And I'll never forget it, because my thought was we'd go in, nothing would happen. Jeff be, oh, darn. We would go get some pizza, go with our friends, and that'd be it. But we were there for hours. As soon as we got in the room, the temperature dropped rapidly. That would happen a lot. And Jeff would bring a fish tank thermometer in the room. It was portable. And the temperature would go 65, 62, 58, 50, and the 30s. And like 16, 17, unbelievable. And the heat was on. The windows were closed. That fascinated him. He was like, there's something happening here. And then, so he asked me to call the ghost. And I said, I don't know how to do that. He said, well, pick a name. I had a parakeet named Tommy. So I said, well, let's call Tommy. Fine, it works. I had no idea there'd be a connection with that later on. It starts to show you a series of errors on my part, but it worked out.
Well, maybe it was intuition. Maybe this entity had been around you so long, and maybe, as I say, because you are quite empathic, you are quite open, without even realizing it, you've picked up information subconsciously. That's
probably what happened. That's looking back. Probably what you're saying is probably correct. And I said, I'm here if you want to talk. And then the closet door began to shake. I thought to myself, what am I doing? This is not supposed to happen. And then the closet door opened a bit. I'm like, oh, this is really bad. And Jeff was recording notes, looking at the direction.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this is crazy. So I went to tell Jeff. So I went, and I couldn't talk. All I could do was go, right? So you turn, he goes, oh my gosh, you see the door is shaking. My sleeves are being blown back and my shirt's being blown back. And I just yelled, Jeff, take the picture. Take the picture. I meant of the ghost. He took a picture of me. He wanted the effects to see on the shirt, on the paper being pushed back. He wanted to show the effect in the room first. But before he did a second picture, the thing went right out of the closet doors, right through me. It felt like when you drink cold water on a hot day.
Yeah.
Every cell in my body froze and then unfroze. Ooh, I just fell over onto the ground. Boom. Oof. That was horrible. And then he's looking for the ghost. Where is it? I'm like, I don't care. I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It felt like a spiritual rape. I'm saying no, it came at me. I couldn't. It was horrible. And then he said, please, I want a picture. And so I looked up and I saw the ghost above the loft where I sleep. Right there. Where? Jeff, the dead thing looking at us, that's the ghost. Take his picture. Where? I'm like, he's looking. You can't see it. I can see it like a person. It's right.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He said, well, if you can see it, take my camera. You take the picture. I'm like, I'll take one. I'm leaving. So he had a Minolta camera, 35mm. I raised it above my face. I took the picture right above my bed. I gave him the camera and I ran out of the room.
Understandably.
And it was horrifying. And but see, by that time, I used to have a plushie. It's right there. It's a pickle. Right? See the little pickle there? And it hung the ceiling. I did the modeling, so the girls got me a super pickle as a joke, like as a joke, inside joke. And he saw the pickle sway with the movement of the ghost. He saw movement. He saw the temperature go down. He saw my shirt blow back. He saw the cardboard bend in the room. So he knew there was something definitely happening in the room. Although he didn't see the ghost itself, he knew something was going on. And knew I saw it. And so I have to tell you that he's brilliant. Outside of my father, up to that point in my life, that was probably the smartest human being I ever met. And I'm very lucky that he was living right next to it in the hall at that time, or who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, because you and Jeff bonded very much over this, didn't you? You went and slept in his room a few times, and the nightmares that you used to have as well. So it's not just while you're awake and having physical things happen to you. When you're dreaming as well, you're having these terrible nightmares of these visions and attacks that are going on nightly.
Yes, that was rough. I couldn't stay in the room all the time because the roommates would get upset. His primary roommate wasn't Craig. His name was Ed, but Ed couldn't be in the production because he works for a corporation that does like undercover work, so he couldn't be seen. But Craig did stay there sometimes. They have Craig in the show with Jeff, but I wasn't really welcome there all the time because of all the things that happened. So a lot of times I would sleep out in the lounges and the lobbies, and particularly by soda machines, pop machines, because the machines had to keep the soda, like the Diet Pepsi and the Coke and things, Sprite, cool. Every 15 minutes, the engine kicks on to cool the drinks. I wake up. So that was my alarm clock. So every 15 minutes, I could wake up and check, make sure nothing's around, go back to sleep again. So it's ironic, but again, I was trying to survive. I'd be out there in the hallways, or sometimes I'd sleep out in the lounge downstairs, or I'd always move from place to place. And I had to be careful because I was in the girls' room, people would start rumors, I don't want that to happen. So reputations for them. So but I went all over the place. I was honestly trying to be Abbie a good person. I just wanted to Maybe I just want to live my life and help people and just get through things. And this
And
was not
outrun whatever's chasing you, basically. So you can.
on my bingo card.
Yeah, no.
It was,
Bloody attachments.
what? Yes.
No, I mean, after the priest blessed the room, things started to settle down a bit for you personally, didn't they? Just for a little while. But then it's this entity seemed to I'd say target, but maybe going to your female friends because this thing knew they weren't threatening, they were compassionate. So do you think it transferred over to trying to get their attention rather than yours? But I can imagine at the time that you must have felt extremely guilty because you're getting some respite. But now, your friends who are female, they're vulnerable and they're getting actual physical attacks by this whatever this is that's attached itself to you. Could you explain a bit that for me?
You're one of the first persons ever to tap into the guilt that I felt. Most people say, wasn't it good? They weren't attacking you anymore. But I think you might be the very first person in an interview to say, you must have felt horrible, because I did.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't fix it right. And so the priest comes to the room, he blesses it, and guess what? No more shadows, no more voices, no more whispers, no more cold breezes. Yes. But what does it do? It's like wicked. It knows I care about my friends.
Yes.
So it goes and attacks them. And this way they'll say, Chris, help me. You're a ghost attacking me. What do? I go to it. That was horrifying. So I had the feeling of, okay, now I feel guilty that it's attacking my friends. They still heard him calling my name to them, but still.
Yeah.
And now they're being hurt.
Beth and Linda were severely traumatized by what happened to them.
On the floor, unconscious, literally unconscious. We thought she was dead. She was like still. We saw her feet sticking out from behind an overturned couch and a broken lamp. I thought, we didn't know what was going on. It was horrifying. And at first I thought maybe she had a boyfriend that beat her up. I didn't know what was going on. But then we figured out right away what was going on. And then Linda, Judy was sent to get us. And she said, you to help Linda. She's stuck in her bed. She's being pressed down. She's terrifying. And so Jeff and I ran there. And there are those pictures you see in the show. And they're fascinating with me trying to see if I can feel around her. When we got there, Jeff had his camera. And I said, Jeff, wait, because I had been in that spot before. Before you take the pictures, ask her. Make sure it's okay because this is trauma. She said, yes, whatever you got to do, just... And so that's what exists, because I was very careful. I don't want people to be taken advantage of in that place. And but I knew it wanted me. And so I said to her, listen, leave my friends alone. You want me, I'll talk to you. But not here and not now, be on my terms. We got very, very angry. It attacked me, for God's sake. Looking back, I thought it was an evil, nasty, controlling spirit.
Yes. Yeah.
Now I think more it was just very desperate. Even if you have a loving family cat or dog, a pet, they will scratch or bite you if they're hurt or scared. Yeah. Just instinctual.
Cornered animal.
Right. And I looking back and what is about the time, I just thought this thing is horrifically evil, and what am I going to do?
Yeah. I mean, especially with everything, all the pressures that are on you, you're getting some respite. Now your friends are getting attacked. Now you feel so guilty and so responsible that they are now experiencing the same trauma that you have.
Yes.
And you're like, no, come back. I don't want it back, but come back so my friends are safe.
And I couldn't ask the priest to bless 5 rooms, 10 rooms, 12 rooms.
Yeah.
That way.
I mean, when it did come back, you had a very, very horrific experience in the shower blocks, didn't you? And it's when things started to get really violent for you. Yeah.
For me, that was the low point of the whole experience. I remember at first I thought maybe someone stabbed me with a knife. It was a stab wound because the knife blade is so sharp and so crisp that if you cut your finger like making a salad, you don't feel it at first. It's a clean cut, but eventually under cold water or this because it hurt. So it was so hard the push that I was lifted off my feet. I was lifted off the ground. My face hit the side of the shower stall. I could taste the soap I used to clean the wall with the tiles with. I thought myself, oh, please don't break my teeth. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
And I knew I was being attacked. And so rather than like in the movies, they always go, oh no, don't hurt me. No, I'm being attacked. I turn and I lash out the hardest punch I could give. And I tore the shower curtain down all around me like that. So you see in the show, that's how it happened. And I pushed it aside. I looked in the mirror to see if I should pull the knife out or not. If we pull it out, bleed out or leave it in, will do us damage. First thing, what's in me? And there's no one in the room. I couldn't believe that. And I see in my back, there's no knife. There are 3 long scratches going from about here down to my waist. I'm like, what is that? No way. And I feel so bad for the kid in the mirror. I mean, he's going to die. He's marked. That's it.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, what is going on? And because of either the pain or the trauma or the fear or just the cold, whatever, going from the hot shower into the cold air, I just fell on the floor of the bathroom and the tile. I just laid there and I could not move. And I told myself, don't make a face.
Yeah.
Just keep a calm face, because when they find me, I don't want my mom to see me in the casket looking horrified. My mom gave up everything. She goes to college as a woman in the 60s. She gave it up to have me. Probably a foolish choice, but it was her choice.
Yeah.
And I don't want her to have to bury her teenage son with her dreams and have me be in horrible pain. So I just told myself, make a calm face so my mom can see I'm relaxed and found peace. Isn't that a strange thought? I thought of her first. And then I thought, okay, I'm dying. Just stay as calm as you can. I don't want to die, but I know how to live. And then the strangest thing happened. I noticed a small droplet, a pear-shaped bead of water on my wrist. It was shimmering in the light. It was beautiful. Remember that Tom Hanks movie, Castaway, with the ball? Wilson!
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's a soccer ball, but you're like, he loved it, right? It's like, what am I doing here? But sometimes in trauma, you relate to things. You hold on to, you personify things. Like your great-grandpa's tie tack or something like that, grandma's perfume. Yeah. Well, it was a drop of water, and it was beautiful. I looked at it, and I could see the room was upside down. I'm like, it's inverted. Water refracts light. That's science. And then it fell. I thought, wait. It fell because of gravity. So I have refraction, then I have gravity. I look down, and by my face, the grout, the tile was darkened. Moisture. So I've got refraction, right? I've got gravity. I've got moisture. Science is working. But what is this? How do I do this? I can't. My brain hurt. It was like dyslexia, where somebody says to you, "What's wrong? Are you stupid? You're not paying attention?" You are, but your brain reads it differently. And I can't explain exactly why that's happening. And no, I'm not stupid. And no, I am trying. Please don't judge me.
Yeah.
In that moment, I understood in a very bad way what it feels like to have my lens be very different than those around me. And around that moment, ready to die, the door opened up. I felt warm air rush in over my heels and dry air. And I heard on the floor the squeak from the whip, because I got the shower, and it's Jeff, and he lifted me up, and what's happening? What happened to you? Are you okay? You're bleeding. And then put a towel around me, brought me into his room, and Ed was there, and Linda came in, and Beth came in, and there I was, bizarre. And they're going to take me to the hospital. We're going to the hospital, Chris. You're bleeding all over the place. I'm not going to the hospital, Abby. If I go to the hospital, they'll say I'm self-harming.
Yeah.
They'll medicate me or restrain me. Yeah. And that thing will find me.
He'll follow you anyway. It's attached to you at this point.
No way. Right. And so I thought to myself, oh no, intervention. This is an intervention like on television. And I'm the guy. And I'm always like, come on, they're trying to help you out. But I thought to myself, but I'm not crazy. How do I get their lens, which is valid, I'm bleeding and hurt, to my lens? I can't go there. It's worse for me. And luckily, because of my problem solving from all the marathons and running I had done, the 42 kilometers, I thought, okay, wait a second. Get some peroxide, get some cotton swabs, get some bandages. And for 47 minutes, it was peroxide, cotton swab, bandage. We just did it for 47 minutes. The one thing I can tell you, though, people ask me all the time is, why are there no pictures of the scratches on your back? That's a very fair question, because that'd be amazing to see, right?
I think, to be fair, your friends were too busy trying to look after you rather than document it at the time.
It's actually a little different. The truth is that as I'm bleeding, Jeff said, the natural light is fading. Let me get a picture of your back. Good idea. I said, no, don't, Jeff. Is what? I said, don't. If you're my friend, you won't take that picture. What do you mean? I said, Jeff, I need a friend. I need to know someone's here for me and not the ghost boy, not the ghost.
Yeah.
I need to know I can trust you. Please, if you're my friend, Jeff, you will not take that picture. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And Jeff said, I'm your friend. Must have killed him inside. We put the camera down. So there's no picture of the scratches because I needed a friend.
Yeah.
Jeff was there. So my apologies to all your listeners and your viewers and all people watch the show. I wasn't investigating. I was surviving. That's the truth.
To be fair, though, you know, in that moment that, you know, your friend could actually put that down and center you in that moment means everything. And that's what you needed at the time.
Yeah.
You're going through this extreme trauma, and it is trauma. And, you know, people get post-traumatic stress from hauntings like that. People think, oh, haunting's scary. Yay, watch the telly. And, oh, isn't it cool? No, it's extremely damaging to people's lives, especially when they're going through it on a daily basis. So for him to actually do that, I mean, you know, God bless him.
Yes.
Actually, God bless. You don't need the photo. You've got enough evidence. You don't need to relive that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, after this occurred, and things were emotionally for you at a very low point. This is the point where you actually started to think, I need to reach out to someone, and the person that you reached out to was the person you trusted the most, which was your dad, I believe.
Yes, I didn't want to do that. My dad had raised me to be a problem solver, to be independent, to be able to, the parent says, baby bird, go fly. That's my job, was to fly. And I felt a little embarrassed that after all they had given to me, all the meals, all the nights sleep in a house with heat, and all the clothes they had purchased for me, all the education they had done, that here I was, I couldn't do it. I was horrified, but I didn't know what else to do. And so I made that phone call, an old-fashioned payphone back in the day. You put the quarter in and, you know, I probably called collect. But I just said, Dad, I don't know what's happening, but it's real.
Yeah.
And I need help. I'm in trouble. I need your help, Dad. And he came right up. He made that 5-hour trip in 4 hours. And a funny thing, my sister was angry at me for a long time. I never knew why. That was her prom night. My dad was supposed to take her to her prom and forgot. He then to get me at the school instead. So I never knew she was angry at me. But that shows you the impact that my request had on him, because he never asked for help. That wasn't me at all. I would suffer before I asked for help. So for me to do that, he didn't know if it was a gang activity or if it was hazing or if it was drug overdose, but he knew for me to ask for help in this way. He got up there and he brought with him. He had a baseball bat with him. He had a gun with him. He was ready for anything. And I have to tell you that at that point in time, I could run faster than him. I was taller than him. Yeah. But nothing more amazing than my dad, who raised me, be in that room and say, whatever's here comes through me first. Yeah. Wow. So between Jeff being such a kind human being, my dad being so loving, protecting, I mean, a lot of what happened to me is because of people around me. Linda caring for me and Craig. So although I've become the face of this because I was the primary focus of it, this doesn't happen. I don't make it through as I do without people.
It happened to all of you at the time. You may have been the focus of the haunting, but it was something that was experienced by all of you.
But they chose that. Jeff could have left. He did not. My father could have hung up the phone. He did not. So they chose to help someone with nothing to really gain from it at the time for themselves, other than they care about somebody. And again, for that, I can never stop being grateful. My father is 82 years old right now, and I always wanted to win his approval. To watch the Netflix show now and to see him on there, to see his face, hear his voice say he's proud of me. Yeah. That is the gift that we'll always keep on giving. They could have made the show any way they wanted to make the show. That makes it perfect for me.
Yeah. To be honest with you, out of all the kind of ghost documentaries and stuff like that, I think it was very, very respectfully and very, very tastefully done. And it was the way it centered not the hauntings, but the actual impact of the hauntings is important, because, as I say, people don't realize the impact that this sort of thing can have on someone.
If I can say, Melissa McLean, Kelly Nobe, and Mark Lewis, those are the folks at Raw Studios, All Three Media, who decided to focus on the friendships and the family more than just the ghost itself. So those folks get the credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most emotionally impactful interpretation I've seen of your case. It really is. It brings it home of not just the spooky and the scary and the frights, but the actual impact and the relationships and what's cultivated from it. Now, when your dad came down, you went for a run, didn't you? And this is when you actually discovered something quite significant. And the fact that it was your father that discovered it is actually quite interesting as well.
Yeah. I think back to my dad chasing me with the stick.
Yeah.
If he didn't do that, find nothing happens. I don't go to college, I don't get a scholarship. It's amazing how that one horrible moment was so amazingly wonderful for me. And here at the crisis, at the focal point of the crisis, with me being attacked and my roommate leaving and failing everything, what do? We go for a run. We didn't even talk at all.
Yeah.
We just stride. It was like sacred, just stride by stride. I was so proud. I'm like, that's cool. He made me. He'll make me, and here he is. And it's so I was just over. And my dad always tripped on things. That was a funny thing. Whatever he did, he always tripped wherever he went. And of course, he would trip on something, and that's how he does. He trips on something. And then I saw like that's perfect. That is how those things occur. When I used to run by that tree, I never knew what it was. I was always struggling for time. It was on my 9-mile course. Yeah. But with him, it was a little different. We could take a jog and go slow, and it's amazing to discover the connections between history in that area and what was happening to us in the dorm room, and then to find out that it had a relation to my family on my mom's side.
Yeah.
That's as bizarre or as likely as the haunting itself was.
Or is that the reason for the haunting? I mean, he came across the Boyd Memorial, which was Michael Parker and Lieutenant Thomas Boyd, Tommy Thomas, and this poor soldier in the Revolutionary War had a horrific death. His platoon was set upon by Native Americans, and we won't go into detail about what this poor man suffered. Horrifying, but this was the spirit that had attached itself to you. Now, my personal belief looking into the case, and especially with the fact that it turned out that your ancestors actually came across his body,
they buried him
and offered him that help. To me, that spirit is trapped in torment. His final moments were just absolutely horrific, and he's trapped in that trauma. And he comes across you running in the woods. Yeah. The energetic ancestor, and probably was able to recognize that ancestral link, sense your caringness, and latch onto you to help. Your family buried him, but he never had last rites. So he needed that permission. So can you tell me how, when you finally confronted Thomas, what happened?
Yeah. I mentioned to you before that when he looked at me, it was strange. He was killed because he couldn't escape. He didn't run fast enough. If he had my legs, guess what? He would have escaped. And I think he was living in this spiral for hundreds of years, just escape, like living between living and dead, between fiction and reality and torment. I think he saw me as a way out. If he just had my legs, it wouldn't have happened, and that overly emotional state. And when I did speak to him, I did ask him one question that was very interesting. I asked him, not knowing who he was quite yet, I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Danville." Lieutenant Thomas Boyd from Danville, Pennsylvania. Yeah. And when we put those facts together, I'm like, oh my gosh. And at the high point of the haunting in terms of activity, one evening he appeared in the window, all mutilated. I thought, why would he do that? He's trying to harass me. He's so evil. But guess what? He was actually showing me who he was and what happened. So I finally got brave or wise enough to speak to him. It was mostly Craig's idea. Craig challenged me. He said, listen, you got to face this. You can't run from everything. You can't rely on your faith or your parents. You're going to do this yourself, whatever this is. I believed him. And so I decided I would speak to and talk to the spirit. And they compress things, but basically what I said was, listen, I said, listen, I'm here now. We're going to talk. I'm ready to talk right now. We'll do this again. If you want my help, I'm here now. And then he appeared. And I said, whatever you're doing, you can't stay here. Things are getting worse. It's not helping. You want my help? I'll give it to you. You need to find rest. You have to believe whatever you did can be forgiven, and someone still loves you. I'm going to count to 10. Like the night I first saw you. When I get to 10, you cannot be here. That's how I'll help you. And I closed my eyes like a fool because he had already attacked me already, but I had to trust in him. And I counted 1001, 1002. I got to 10, opened my eyes. He wasn't there. A few days passed, and people said, "Oh, where's the ghost?" What? And I explained to them what I had done.
Yeah.
And then Jeff wrote about the day that the ghost boy put the spirit to rest. And that's how we kind of put a bookend
Yeah.
on that. I didn't know for sure if he'd stay away for a day or a week or a month or a year, but it's been 40 years now. Hopefully he found rest.
Yeah.
Hopefully with my time, I'll be able to shake his hand and say, thank you for listening and thank you for finding peace.
Yeah.
You know, I remember talking to God saying, you have the wrong guy. I can't do this. You have to be infallible. What we all knowing, you got the wrong guy. And yet here it worked out that apparently I helped him and he found peace, the spirit. And I get to go now and talk to people all around the globe and talk about forgiveness and hope and survival and friendship. So I don't know who's writing this, whoever did this, all this stuff, but they're pretty smart.
I think he was looking for absolution and help, and as you say, a cornered animal. He wasn't lashing out to be cruel. Obviously, you know, how can you know that being on the receiving end of it? You know, you especially in pop culture at the time, you had The Exorcist, you had Carrie, you had all these things that, you know, ghosts are bad, they're evil, the demons. You've got Amityville Horror, and in most cases, you do find it's just somebody looking for help, looking for absolution. But at the time when you were going through this wasn't very well known. So what would you say to someone now who would be having these types of experiences that you were, or maybe going through something that you experienced? What would your advice be to them?
This is just my advice. I'm not an expert. I just survived a very difficult situation. But I would say that coping skills are very important. I would say taste your food. Slow down and eat your food. Slow it down. Enjoy your meal. At night, go to sleep. Let your body and your mind heal. Whatever problem you have will be in the morning. Don't worry about it. Be there to face again. Just give yourself the ability to face it with more energy and a clearer mind. I would say once a day, put on a song you love to dance to and dance. To remember, to forget, just allow yourself to be a kid again and just dance and feel what good can come of it. All those things will help you if your crisis is financial, if it's spiritual, if it's a relationship, whatever it is, you'll only be helped by doing those things. And then finally, either if you're very quiet and you're introverted, journal things down, or if you have friends or family that you can trust, share some things you're going through. You'll be surprised that people actually love you more than they say sometimes. And when they see you suffering and see your face, it's not so much a judgment as it's about, oh, okay, I'm here. What do you need? They might understand what you're going through, but they'll be there. I remember thinking I was all alone. And then a few years ago, I was in Pennsylvania. I stayed over. Walking through the mall, the guy says to me, oh my gosh, you the ghost boy? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, I read about you in the paper. I used to like Spock from Star Trek and Luke Skywalker and you. I do wrestling. I go, I am the ghost boy. I'm like, was it great? And I explained to him how horrible it was. But you know what? He was some kid who lived hundreds of miles away, rooting for me, cheering for me, hoping for me. You are never truly alone unless you choose to be. Lesson learned.
That is true. Now, do you think, obviously, writing the book, talking about it in different documentaries, and obviously, you know, everything that you've been through is helping you come to terms and heal from that experience, as well as getting that information out there, almost like a catharsis? So you've integrated it into your identity, and it's not something that rules you anymore, but it's something that you've experienced and it is part of you in some way. It shaped you as a person.
He must be empathic. I think that catharsis is the key word. It was a relief to finally be able to share what happened. I always knew it meant something. But how do you share a tale of horror and blood and terror and things? I used to, as a young man, I'd walk across the street and make sure I wasn't hit, because if I was taken away, no one knew what happened. I knew that someone had to know it somehow. And so finally, through the process of sharing, through writing, through the projects, I now know that people will have the ability to read or experience these things in a safe way, like a video game. Your avatar may pass away, but you won't. You can still live on and learn lessons through the chapters this time, in your video game. But it's like that. And I'm very grateful that after all these years, people do tend to find value in what happened to us. They do tend to be interested in what that means about life after death and things like that. And I'm very gratified from going from bleeding on the floor, thinking I was dead, to be able to speak to someone like yourself, who can ask these questions that probe, that can bring new information out to people and share that with others who are looking for answers. So I'm very grateful, but catharsis is the word.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, after college, people drift apart, but coming together to do the Netflix documentary, has that enabled you to reconnect with some of your friends like 40 years down the line and kind of like rebolster those relationships?
It's interesting how life can, over the years, harden you. When you're a young kid, you're very open to new ideas. You're very fluid in what you think. But as you go through life and you suffer through bills and family and jobs, you begin to get more stringent in your view because you got to stay strong and not give up what you believe in, right? That happens. In this country here, with the politics, it's really rough over here sometimes. You might have noticed, Joe. Good people stop talking because they disagree on who to put the lever for. Like, it's going to be okay. Don't forget the love you have, right?
Yeah, and that's it. You can disagree and still be friends.
Talk to each other. That's right. So, it's amazing. So when we get together, it's been decades. It was fascinating to learn two things. The first thing was that we look different. We're a little like heavier and older and grayer, but we still have the same personalities. It's almost like we're talking again in that dorm in college, just with a mask on, a little older mask, with like makeup on. Yeah. The second thing I can tell you is that because we didn't talk about it for so many years, we can now fill in the gaps as to what we didn't know. Yeah. So we can ask the questions. Well, why did you say that? And what did you feel? And where'd you go that way for? And like, it's fascinating to have this tapestry of information to fill in more pieces of the tapestry to make a more complex, more full picture of what transpired. It's beautiful. And we talk like no time has passed. I think those friendships are forged in fire like steel. Yeah. And I don't think anything will ever break the friendships, whether or not we get together every 2 weeks or every 2 years. Yeah. I think we're family forever, which is beautiful.
I absolutely love that. And I love the fact that you've got to reconnect as well. Because as I say, people do drift apart, especially when they've experienced something traumatic like that and they don't want to look back at it at the time.
Reminder, right? That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm so pleased. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I mean, I could talk to you. I definitely want to get you back on the show, Chris. I mean, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you. And just to be able to reiterate some of that story and some of the actual impact instead of the actual hauntings and the spookiness of it, but the actual impact and the growth and the caring and the emotion, the community that you've built up within this. But where can people find you if they want more information, if they want to read your book that's just come out? Where can people find you?
Sure. Well, I usually go on Facebook because I can navigate that properly. So Chris Di Cesare on Facebook. You'll see like the picture of Joanna, like, ooh, spooky, that's me. I learned how to use Instagram now. I can use X. I can use Reddit. They're rough. That's a thing. So I'll be around. And so if people would like to read the book, I am not doing this to sell a book. I'm very proud. I really tried to put every piece of information, memory, thing I could get together. Yeah. We can walk through the haunting at their own pace because you can't, even Netflix can't do justice in an hour, 40 minutes. So that happened for 90, 100 days. And so if I can just show it real quick, this is the book. This is called The Boy of Erie Hall. It's on Amazon. You can get a hardcover, softcover, Kindle, and audiobook. I chose this photograph because this is the toga party. This is the last picture before I saw the ghost. Yeah. Of innocence. So I start with before the ghost, and then you walk your way through to the end where I thank people for being there for me and talking a bit about the show itself and making it. I'm very, very thankful for that, and that was my idea. I don't want anything to happen. I want none of this. And I mentioned you before the show, if I could just go back and not have it happen, I would. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't go back because you want it to go back. But what we do is best we can. We survive it. We learn from it, and we share. And someone like you, to meet you is amazing because you're really, truly a kind and wise person.
Thank you. You too. I mean, from what you've been through as well, so many people can get hardened by it. But the fact that, your mindset of problem solving, community, empathy for your friends, just wanting to care for other people and do right by them. And now by sharing your story, by sharing your friend's story, how many people are you helping out there that you're not even aware of? Just by listening to your interviews, reading your books and hearing your experience and watching it on the telly and just going, okay, so I'm going through this. What they might be going through might be paranormal, might not be paranormal. But the fact that they can get through it and they know that, there's light at the end of the tunnel is amazing. And I think, to be honest with you, maybe you were meant to have this experience to give that gift. To give that gift. I think things happen to people for a reason.
Keep your sense of humor, see?
Yeah, as seen on TV. I love it. That is brilliant. I love it. But yeah, I think, things happen to us for a reason. And, maybe this was the reason for that.
Well, like I said, I wish it didn't happen. It did. I'm very thankful I survived it. Good friends were for good family. I'm blessed to be here. I really am. And I really thank you for taking the time to have me on.
Oh, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. As again, sadly, that is all we've got time for this month, but we will be back next month with Sir Brian Bowden, and I look forward to getting into all the high strangeness with him. You've been listening to Lift in the Veil on Sound Art Radio 102.5 FM, and I'm going to say goodnight from me and from my fabulous guest, Chris Di Cesare.
Static fades, but the questions remain. Pull back the curtain again and again.